when you're watching Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. Okay, start things off. This movie is absolutely gorgeous. This movie is like that, what's it called? It's like that beer at 3 a.m. that's just calling your name. You know what I'm saying? This movie is absolutely drop dead beautiful. They did Ufotable. They've been working on stuff like this. They've been making quality like this, and I mean, since the beginning, really. They've really been doing this. But one thing that they haven't been doing is like giving us those 24, 26 seasons like we should have been getting, I guess. But, you know, I get it. They want to split it up, give each arc their individual time to craft. And because of that, they've been able to focus on quality. And I totally respect that. 100% respect that, okay? This movie, it really does a great job of like giving you what you want and then also giving you a little bit of help along the way. Let's start with Zenitsu and Kaigaku, okay? I think that's the first fight that they start and they finish. You know what I mean in the movie? I don't recall if like Shinobu and Doma finished before them. I don't think so. Anyways, it's Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, and I really like this fight. I really like Zenitsu having this kind of rivalry or having this like inner turmoil, and it kind of covers what like happened in the Hashira training arc where we saw him get that letter and it wasn't really explained to us. I liked how they finally brought that back or like figured out like, hey, this is what actually happened and this is why like Zenitsu reacted the way that he did. And it's crazy to see Zenitsu awake and actually, you know, fighting. It's so cool to see him like locked in like that, you know? And so seeing him get his training pushed to the limits, you know what I mean? This is his time to shine, his time to really like fight and put in that work. So right now with Zenitsu versus Kaigaku, I did like the flashback, although I feel like most of the flashbacks in this movie could have been like, I guess it's a manga thing where it's like, if they knew that the story was going to go in this direction, they would have obviously fleshed out the characters a lot more, right? Like, we would have already had this flashback with Zenitsu earlier. Maybe we did. We did get, a glimpse of it in one of the episodes of, like, Zenitsu's training where he's like, he was always a crybaby and he wasn't respected, but I don't think they went into that much depth with it. Maybe I'm wrong. But they could have gone into so much more depth, I think, with the flashback that they wouldn't have needed to do it during the actual fight. But because it's, you know, the actual fight, you can feel the emotional tension in the buildup. And so throughout the whole story, it's like you get why Zenitsu's fighting, or like you get why Zenitsu is really like, this is why he has to be a demon slayer, you know what I mean? Like before he was a demon slayer because he was in debt and he kind of felt like forced to train. You know what I mean? He didn't want to train or wasn't really about it. And then like he was asleep every time he would do something really cool. So he wasn't really like awake or consciously choosing to be a demon slayer. It's like when he knocks out, that's when he finally decides to lock in. This is his time and his actual moment of deciding, I'm a demon slayer, I'm going to kill this demon, and it's all over for everybody else. You know? And because of that, I feel like this is Zenitsu's shining moment, you know? And it's also the reason why Gramps had such a huge devotion to him. That's why he really loved Zenitsu and seeing how he was able to thrive. And even though he wasn't the best student or the most courageous or the bravest, he was definitely he was definitely a demon slayer or somebody who he really wanted to be strong. He really wanted to be there for Gramps. He really wanted to be there for Kaigaku. He really wanted to lead and to protect them, you know? And the fact that he couldn't, the fact that he saw his, you know, other student, he saw his older student, his more, I guess, better student than him, you know what I mean? Mastering the other lightning forms, the other thunder breathing forms, right? He was better than him. And so he wanted to prove that I could be great too. And maybe together we could have been great as a team, but it just didn't end up turning out that way, you know? And that's the disappointing part and that's the cruelty of the demons is that like Kaigaku couldn't resist the strength against him. And instead of finding the strength within himself, he was just kind of realizing that like my potential as a demon slayer is limited. I'm never going to be strong enough. But if I become a demon, I could be. So you get why it's alluring to him or why he chooses it. But in the end, we know it's the wrong choice. We know it's not the choice worth doing. You know what I'm saying? So in the end, we see Kaigaku and Zenitsu fighting. And I thought that the fight was, it was electric. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool to see the other thunder breathing forms. And it was really cool to see Zenitsu's 7th breathing form, the one he makes on his own. Damn, it was so cool to see him actually like be awake and fight and get pushed back and go all over the place. It was such an amazing moment because I don't think we've ever seen him do a solo fight. Well, except for that spider. He did do that spider. So I guess I'm wrong. But like, you know, he was awake here. And then on the Mugen train, he was with Nezuko. And then the entertainment district, he was with Inosuke. And then Swordsmith, well, he wasn't there for the Swordsmith village. So, but he did do solo missions in between, so I guess that counts. But yeah, we get to see that like now he has a purpose and a drive, and like tonight's the night he's gonna help and really fight things off, you know? So I thought it was also funny that Yushiro like downplayed his achievement. He was like, man, if he was a demon for even like more than a week, you would have died. You would have lost to his superior skills and his demon powers. But the fact that you got him right now, you know, good for you, Zenitsu. And I was like, yo, you're not gonna downplay what my man Zenitsu just did. You know what I mean? So yeah, I thought that was funny. Next, I want to talk about the other demon slayers really quick. I want to talk about Sanemi. I want to talk about Gyomei Himejima. I want to about Muichiro Tokito. I want to talk about what's her name? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Is it Hinatsuru? No. Maybe I should just pull up the names, but all of the other demon slayers, like fighting all the demons throughout the Infinity Castle, I thought they were badass, dude. It was so cool to see them all just like effortlessly taking them on, but at the same time, it's like they have to conserve their strength. So that's why I like that bit where the like other more inexperienced, like Murata, he was fighting like the demons, and they were giving the other Hashiras like a break, so that way they didn't have to use all of their breathing forms and like fight constantly, so they can like conserve their strength. They don't have to exert as much force or take on as much like of a burden. The other demon slayers have to show off their training and actually be of use. And so I thought this was a great time for them to show that off, and I really liked that. I also liked the Ubuyashiki family, the new heir of the Ubuyashiki fortune or whatever, like the other kids that survived. Because I thought that Ubuyashiki blew up all of his kids, you know what I mean? But I guess there were some others that did survive and are carrying on the good work. And I liked the use of Yushiro's blood demon technique and working with Tamayo and mapping out the Infinity Castle to kind of find Muzan. I thought that was so cool that they were doing it by hand and drawing it, and they were like, no, he's not over here. He's not on the 99th level. He's not on this level. He's not here. He's not there. And then we get to see Muzan in that cocoon that he's made for himself, where he's like healing a little bit, and we see Tamayo trying to like stay with him and to keep the drug in effect and whatnot, but she's like getting pushed back or pushed out or sucked into it, and she's going to be absorbed into Muzan, so it might not matter. Crazy. It is crazy. And so what were some other great moments? I mean, I guess the opening of the movie was like kind of a recap if you didn't see the Hashira training arc, but you know, it was more so like Gyomei Himejima and the and the master, you know what I mean, actually being able to like connect again, and then you get to show that emotional bond between the two of them before we see the hell that they're going to be brought into. So it's just more so of like a quick little recap of like, hey, Muzan's going to come, we're going to trap him, and you guys are in for a long fight until the sun rises. And so then we get to see that all take place. And then we're back into the action with Tanjiro falling and everything's going on and everybody's fighting and whatnot. Shinobu versus Doma. Again, this is the other part, is that like, obviously probably the manga writer, I don't know who they are. They probably like, when they initially like wrote Shinobu, or like, you know, her backstory with her sister dying, I don't think the initial intention was like, oh, she got killed by an upper ranked demon. You know what I mean? It was like, she just got killed by a demon, and then as the story continued, as she got like the upper ranked demons kind of solidified, then where we are now is when they decided to like, oh, she got killed by the upper ranked demon Doma, and now there's a personal reason why Shinobi wants to kill him. You know what I mean? And I felt like that emotional attachment makes so much sense, and it allows us to see Shinobu's anger actually like come out of her. And one of the cool things that I liked about this one was her own self-reflection on her weakness, because we know since the first time she arrived, we know that she uses poison or wisteria poison or whatever to kill demons. She's not actually capable of, you know, cutting their necks. And that was always like, I thought that was a cool difference, but at the same time I was like, what happens if she goes up against a demon that she can't poison? You know what I mean? Like, I always thought that her poisoning demons was like, it was really cool, you know what I mean? And it makes her faster because she doesn't have to carry that heavy of a sword. But at the same time, oh my gosh, her name's not Hinatsuno. I'm thinking about taking Uzui's wife. My bad. No, I was talking about the love Hashira. What's her name? Damn it. I can't believe I'm blanking. Okay, sorry, I just remembered that. Anyways, Shinobu versus Doma. She's a lot faster than everybody else because she can, like, you know what I mean? One, she's small, and two, she's like, with her breathing technique, she can move really fast, and with her lightweight sword, she doesn't have to like hold as much weight, so she's able to move faster. And that's why I like that cool scene where Doma was going to kill one of the other demon slayers or whoever, and then Shinobu picked her up and moved her away, only for, you know, eventually her to die anyways. But we did get to see Doma's blood demon art. It's the ice technique or whatever, which is crazy, because I would think that the ice technique would be blood, right? Like, why can't it be red ice? I don't know, but that blood demon art is pretty cool, and I think Doma's one of the more interesting upper rank demons, because like, I don't know, I don't know much about him. For the most part, he's pretty carefree. You know what I mean? I haven't seen him like react, but that's also what makes him so like creepy as a demon, is he's so happy all the time, so jolly. You know what I mean? He's always like, hi, how are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, you tried to poison me, didn't you? Why don't you try again? You know what I mean? I already nullified the poison. Might as well try again. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting. And then seeing his like disrespect or his uncaring way of like, Shinobi's like, do you remember this Haori? How you killed my sister? And he's like, oh, that Hashira, yeah. Damn, I didn't get to eat her. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff where he's like, he's carefree. It doesn't bother him. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't like, you know, he's not like a menacing one. He's more of like a jolly demon. You know what I mean? So in a way that AKAZA isn't. AKAZA's menacing. You know? He's like, I'm going to kill and blah, you know what I mean? Whereas, Doma's more of like, hey, I'm going to eat you now, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, bye. So that was cool. What else is going on? I would say I guess their whole interaction was really interesting. Seeing Shinobu kind of like notice her weaknesses or like say that like, damn, I wish I was stronger. I wish I was just a little bit bigger. I wish I was more capable. I wish I could do more, you know what I mean? I'm cursed with this small body, with this weak arms, with this burden on my shoulder, but I can't fight, you know what I mean? I can't cut off his head, the way that I should for my sister. And so she's like seeing her weaknesses, and then she compares herself to the other Hashira. She compares herself to Gyome Himejima, and she's just like, who wouldn't be blessed or who wouldn't be happy to see him save the day? You know what I mean? Like he saved us. Like he saved Kane, like he saved Shinobu, right? Like he saved them. And they were able to be like, okay, And that's a real, that's a real thing. And I feel like it's a real response as a woman to be like, yeah, who's gonna be excited, like life or death situation, and the girl comes and saves your life. You know what I mean? Not to be like, you know what I mean? Not like that. Not to be like, sexist or whatever. But it's like there's a difference, right? It's like when you're going up against a bear and a girl comes over and she tries to save you. It's like, yo, you're just gonna die too. Like we're both dead. You know what I mean? Whereas like you see somebody like LeBron James. You know what I mean? Come and save the day. You're kind of like, okay, we got a chance here. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, it's going to be dangerous still, but like, I feel a lot more confident having LeBron James with my, having my back and whatnot. So I feel like that was a very real issue, or that was really something that she was able to be like, damn, like, I'm so happy that, she's like, I'm so frustrated that I can't be like these other people. Like, I can't be like the other Hashira, So, I totally understand that. And I feel like that was such a big reason why she's kind of like so focused on the poison aspect of things. And in the end, she couldn't kill him, she couldn't slice off his head. The poison wasn't enough, and she got absorbed by it. And she kind of said like a final farewell to Kanao. She was able to say bye, Kanao. She did like a little, it looked like she was flipping her off. I don't know what she was doing. She gave her like a little like, hey, forever. You know what I mean? It looked like she did the number 4, and she was like, forever, So she was able to tell her like, hey, I love you, and this is something that I'm doing, So basically we see Kanao kind of like angry seeing Shinobu die, getting absorbed by Doma, and she's now kind of like, oh my gosh, she lost her other older sister, and now she's losing Shinobu. It feels like she can't catch a break, and so now it's up to her to face off against him. So hopefully Shinobu did something with the poison. Hopefully that many like repeated stabbings or like slices will take like effect over time, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But yeah, I thought that the ice mist getting into her lungs was also pretty crazy. And then what else is there? I think that's it. Then it's just Kanao versus Damon or something. And so finally we get to the main event. Ding ding ding. It's AKAZA versus Giyu and Tanjiro. Oh my goodness, you could not believe the adrenaline going through my body as soon as AKAZA started pummeling the building, and he went down to where Tanjiro and Giyu were, and then he was like, I see you did good to survive this long, brat. And then Tanjiro was just like, AKAZA! Boom! Oh my gosh, that cinema, that tension, that buildup. 5 years of that buildup of them finally coming back together, you know what I mean? It's crazy. And so to finally get them having to like face off against him is is wild. But I will say this, okay? They get to that part of the movie where AKAZA lands and he punches and Tanjiro backs up and then they yell at each other, and I'm expecting them to go full force, right? I'm expecting them to fight it out right then and there. Give us the full fight. I'm ready for it. But then they cut over to Nezuko and, what's his name? Urokudaki-san. And then they cut over to Muzan in the cocoon. And then they cut over to the Ubuyashiki and Tengen Uzui and Rengoku's dad. I forget his name. Tanjiro or whatever. Rengoku's dad, like, protecting the Ubuyashiki kids. Like, I was like, yo, you're blue balling me here. Like, they just completely diverted the story. I was like, I don't want you to cut away. This is the time to get it on. You know what I mean? And then when they cut to the other, like, scenes, I was also interested in that. You know what I mean? I was interested in seeing the Ubuyashiki kids. I was interested in seeing Muzan, like, in that cocoon and having them find where he is in the Infinity Castle. Like, I thought that was really interesting, you know, and I wanted to learn more. But then we have the fight to go back to, and so they keep on splitting it up in weird ways. Not that I don't understand it, but, like, before they get to that point, before they get to Giyu and Tanjiro running and then realizing Shinobu's dead and them, like, fighting AKAZA before AKAZA lands before them, like, they could have cut after Shinobu died, right? After Shinobu died, they cut over to Muzan in the cocoon. They cut over to Tamayo, like, struggling. They cut over to the Ubuyashiki, Nezuko, and all of them. And then we cut over to Tanjiro and Giyu running through the castle. And then AKAZA comes, and then they start the fight. You know what I mean? Whereas they start the fight, they cut to all that other stuff, and then they cut back. And it feels like too much back and forth and too much, like, I don't know, man. I felt like they were, like, the pacing kept on getting cut off for other things. And I was like, don't cut me off right there. Like, give me the full plate. You know what I mean? Give me the full serving. It's like throughout the meal, it's like you take a bite of the cheeseburger. You know what I mean? Like, you take a bite out of your cheeseburger and then they take the cheeseburger away from you. And you're like, now you have to eat this thing. And it's like, wait, hold on. Like, can I finish that cheeseburger? It's like, you're going to get the cheeseburger. Don't worry about that. But you have to eat, you know, this next. You know what I mean? You have to eat the fries now. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right. So then you start eating the fries and then they're like, all right, here's your cheeseburger. And it's like, cool. Now you can start to eat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It felt weird that they... Is it a big complaint of mine? No. Okay. But it is like a little bit of a, not a pacing issue, but it's more so like weird way to set it up or to design how they designed the story, you know what I mean? And maybe that's how the manga does it. You know, I haven't read it, so it's like maybe that's how they do it, and because that's how they do it, they follow it to a T, which is great, you know what I mean? But I feel like this is one of those moments where they have the creative liberty or freedom to, like, still stay true to the source material, but just change a couple of the scenes, you know what I mean? Like, figure it out from there. But anyways, we get Giyu versus Tanjiro finally, and oh my goodness, we get to see Tanjiro's Hashira training skills come into play. We see him set his heart ablaze, and we see him go up against AKAZA, and we see AKAZA's, like, genuinely surprised that Tanjiro's, like, keeping up with him. Giyu's surprised he's keeping up with them, and he's basically saying Tanjiro's Hashira level now. So being able to keep up with AKAZA is crazy. And so from there, we see Giyu and Tanjiro just going full force against AKAZA as a team, you know? And Giyu, oh my goodness, he's crazy. One of the things I love about this fight is one of the things I really love about the what they did with the entertainment district is that it's all over the place. It's all over the place, you know? There's a, what was it? During the Swordsmith training arc with Muichiro Tokito, where he's, like, fighting in the woods against the 5th upper rank demon, like, it didn't feel like let's just say that it, like, the fight stayed in one place for too long. Like, that's an upper rank demon, and the fact it was able to defeat it with such ease was a little bit disappointing. And also at the same time, it was like, you know, the long-term ramifications of it wasn't like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like in the entertainment district, Uzui was all over the place. They were destroying houses. They were sliding. They were moving. They were running. They were attacking. Explosions back and forth. Crazy. Like they destroyed that whole entertainment district, buildings and houses and whatnot. They destroyed all of it. You know what I mean? Because it was all over the place. You know, it wasn't just in one spot. And so that's what I liked about this in the Infinity Castle was that, like, it wasn't in just one room or one building. It was in multiple buildings. The buildings were moving. It was up, down, left, right. It was jumping. It was running. It was flying through the air. It was attacking in midair. It was fighting this way, that way, all over the place. It was Giyu unlocking his Demon Slayer mark, you know? And it was Tanjiro trying to keep up with them or fight with them, and it was a continuous back and forth, and it was AKAZA playing with them, and then it was AKAZA getting serious, and then it was Giyu holding on for Tanjiro, trying to protect him, and the fighting back and forth. It was crazy. It was insane, and the choreography, the art direction, the visuals. My goodness, the visuals. They were so clean and crazy and amazing. It worked for me. And then it was Tanjiro doing what Tanjiro does best, and is like watch and observe, you know what I mean? Figure out your opponent and figure out how you can best defeat him, you know? How can I win against this guy? How can I defeat AKAZA? What is it about his blood demon art that makes him so unique or makes him unbeatable, you know? And then they cut over to Tanjiro learning about the transparent world, learning from his father how he decapitated that bear, learning about a new ability, a new technique, a new way to like fight and get strong, you know? It's so awesome. And I feel like that was a very necessary flashback, whereas like Zenitsu and Kaigaku is like, again, if the manga writer or whoever knew that that's where the story was going to go, or like what they were planning on doing, then I think they would have introduced that earlier in the story, like season 1, season 2, somewhere like that, you know what I mean? Gave him more of a backstory on that. And the same with like Shinobu and Doma and stuff. So I feel like those flashbacks were like, obviously they were important and helped to build the characters, but at the same time, it was kind of like, if they knew, they would have done it earlier, and I feel like we wouldn't have to waste any time like watching that. We just would have, gotten the fight, and the buildup would have already been there. The tension would have been as big as, for all of them, as much as AKAZA versus Tanjiro versus Giyu. You know what I mean? So that tension would have made sense, but, they introduce it right here, and it's not bad or anything, but it just feels like, oh, you're giving this to me now, when it's like, I don't really want to waste time on that per se. But anyways, it was good. But I'm saying that Tanjiro learning about the transparent world made sense during the fight because it was a new skill he needed to like acquire in order to defeat AKAZA. And oh my goodness, it was so cool to see all of it happen. And then finally, we see Tanjiro get into the transparent world, and I think his Demon Slayer mark also popped up, and there was nothing more badass than when Giyu was going up against AKAZA, and AKAZA was like, all right, it's time to end this. And then he punches Giyu in the stomach like he did to Rengoku, and you feel like, oh my gosh. And then you see that like Giyu's fine, and AKAZA's hand is sliced, and Tanjiro's like, whew, you know what I mean? And he's like awakened this new transparent state. So then we get Tanjiro going up against AKAZA and everybody else, and I think we see Giyu try to protect Tanjiro after he passes out or whatever. He kind of knocks out, and everybody's kind of like, No. Is that not what happened? No. We see AKAZA do his like esoteric technique and like punch everything, and Giyu tries to protect himself using dead calm, and it wasn't enough to like block all of the attacks. And we see Tanjiro just effortlessly dodge all of the attacks and sneak up behind Akaza. And Gyu's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't know that Tanjiro's right behind him. And he's like, okay, slice him, Tanjiro, before he has a chance to see you. And then Tanjiro, it's so funny. Tanjiro's like, Akaza, I'm going to slice off your head now. And then Akaza's like, what? He's behind me? And then Gyu's like, he told him, he didn't sneak attack him. He told him like he was right behind him. And so then we see Tanjiro finally slice off Akaza's head. And then down it goes. And we see it disintegrate. But the rest of his body's still standing. And we see his head dissolve. And then we get Akaza's backstory. And, I mean, it's emotional. You know, don't get me wrong. It's emotional. It's really sad, you know, as most of the demons are, you know what I mean? You see their backstory, their tragic upbringing or their tragic past, right? And see how they like get corrupted by being a demon, you know, how they turn into a demon and they find like satisfaction and strength and power and having this ability to hurt others, you know, because of the crappy life that they got, you know? Like what we saw with the upper rank. After what we saw with the upper moon 6, we saw how like him and his sister were like, they were balancing fortune and misfortune, you know, together. But then we see that once fortune gets taken away, he like kills everybody and becomes a demon and whatnot. So we see how it corrupts him. And in this way, we see how Akaza, I guess he didn't really have a choice in becoming a demon. He kind of got like killed by Muzan. But we see that like, what kind of a life would he have lived afterwards, you know? Being a demon was kind of like his only other option, his only other choice, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like he killed the other rival school or the other rival temple or dojo, you know what I mean? He killed all of them, so it's like he would have been dead either way. And so this way he can like get revenge on all men and people who like who are bad, you know? So it's kind of like that, I guess. And Hakuji and his, you know, bride-to-be, we see it all taken away from him. And it is sad, don't get me wrong. And I feel like it's important to learn about because in that moment, we see that Akaza is like still hanging on. And he could have kept on being a demon. You know what I mean? He really could have overcome the head slicing just like we've seen other demons do. Just like the upper rank 6 survives the head slashing. We see, what is it? That upper rank 4 demon overcome the head slashing and like turn into other parts of himself, other demons. We see that Muzan isn't capable of being beheaded. Like this guy has the potential to like still stay a demon, you know, but it's his humanity that comes back. It's his humanity that makes him realize that like, I don't want this and I don't need this anymore. So in the end, he punches himself and he gives up and he realizes that like, I don't have to be this anymore. I can let go and I can die, you know. I can go to hell. I'm going to hell either way, you know what I mean? But at least this way I'll be with my love and it's all in the end, you know. And so I've seen a couple of, did I sound like a dog there? My bad. It was just like, I've seen some like reviews or some posts of people saying that like Giyu and Tanjiro didn't actually like beat Akaza, but Tanjiro sliced his head off. Like he won. You know what I mean? Just because he grows it back or just because like he delivers the final blow himself doesn't mean that Tanjiro and Giyu didn't win. They definitely won. They definitely held their own. And Tanjiro sliced his head off. Like it was a clean victory, all right? It's like what is it like? It's like you kill a comic book character, right? Like, oh, it's like an Avatar Way of Water, or like in the Avatar movies, you know what I mean? It's like he killed Quaritch in the first movie, or I guess Neytiri killed him, right? So he's dead, but then he gets brought back to life, and it's like the fight keeps going, and then he killed him again, or he beat his ass again in the Way of Water in the second movie, and then guess what? He's coming back in the third movie. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, I already beat you. You know what I mean? Just because you keep on coming back doesn't mean that I didn't, like, completely beat you. You know what I mean? AKAZA had to grow his head back just to keep on, just to keep up. You know what I mean? Otherwise, Tanjiro won that fight fair and square. You know what I mean? I think he won. And another thing, I don't care about AKAZA, and I also do not care about Hakuji's backstory, all right? Listen, I might get some flack for this, but I don't care. I don't care. He killed Rengoku. What do I care how sad his backstory is? He still became a demon. He still killed people. Like, did he have a choice in the matter? No. But like, I'm tired of this having to sympathize with the villain. Like, I have no sympathy for AKAZA. Maybe a little bit of sympathy for Hakuji. You know what I mean? Because he got messed up. You know what I mean? He got a messed up life handed to him. You know what I mean? He's dealt with tremendous loss, and he gained something really beautiful, but he lost it. But he was still a demon at the end of the day, and he's going to hell. Like, no matter what you feel about him or Hakuji or any of them, he's going to hell. So it's like, what are you really defending here? You know what I mean? He killed Rengoku. He deserved to live. Didn't need to be that way. Because, like, we know Muzen's backstory, but he's a straight demon through and through. You know what I mean? There's no sympathy for him. And why should there be? He's a demon. So just because these other demons have sad backstories, just because they have tragic and upsetting backstories, doesn't mean I have to have any kind of like, oh, man, now I feel really bad and I wish AKAZA... No! Screw him! He killed Rengoku. No, I'm standing on it. You know what I mean? It's sad. Obviously, it's tragic what happened in his human life. You know what I mean? But look at what his soul has turned into, what he's become. No, not doing it. Not doing it. I refuse to care. I refuse to care even one bit about it. But I do think it was a great piece of like storytelling and characterization, and I feel like it was a good way of conveying like, you know, humanity, you know, how somebody could sink so low into becoming a demon, you know what I mean? He doesn't actually choose it, which I think is the differentiation, right? Is that like Muzan straight up killed him and then he became a demon and he just like followed it, you know, he followed that path of power, of strength, of like, I have to become stronger, you know, as opposed to like him actually choosing it for himself, which I think would have made it all that much more, you know, sinister, right? Because he didn't choose it, you kind of feel like, okay, it happened to him and he just rolled with it. As opposed to like, he got offered the possibility and he became a demon. Otherwise, it's like, I guess he did get killed and then he had the choice there, whether or not like he could withstand the blood that Muzan was giving him. But either way, I don't care. And so the story ends with, or this movie ends, it's still the rest of the fight to go, with AKAZA dying and Giyu and Tanjiro like pass out, and then the other demon slayers are notified that Upper Moon 3 is defeated by the crows, and everybody's going around, and we see Inosuke running throughout the place. We see the other demon slayers going throughout the place, and they're gonna be up next. You know what I mean? Tanjiro and Giyu just started something. They started something. Zenitsu started something, right? So now they're on a roll. They're on a bit of a roll, and now they have to go up against Doma. They have to go against that, I guess the other demons, and then Muzan as well. So it's crazy. It's crazy. This movie was insane, and I thought it was fantastic. This movie is absolutely awesome. There's no other word to describe it. I feel like Ufotable is doing it right when it comes to making such great storytelling. And this is going to be the industry standard from now on. You know, you think I mean, Demon Slayer has such a huge impact. You're going to see it on every scale. You know what I mean? That's why Chainsaw Man is getting a movie. That's why Jujutsu Kaisen did that hidden inventory movie. It's why they're going to do that. They're going to do a release of season 3, you know what I mean? In theaters, where it's like they do the last 2 episodes of, what's it called? They do the last 2 episodes of Shibuya Incident, and then they're going to go into the next 2 episodes of season 3, and they're going to do that in theaters just like they do with Demon Slayer, you know what I mean? And that's going to be the way it is now, you know, because of their success, because of their shift of the industry of anime, it's going to be just like that throughout the rest of our lives now, you know, especially on big stories like that. So it's going to be crazy. It's crazy. But overall, this movie, I had such a great time with it, and I'm so glad I got but at the same time, I'm like, I want the whole season. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just made this a season. Making it a movie is such torture. But if it can ensure this kind of quality, dude, yeah, let's do it. And I don't think that they're going to, in the end, they're still going to make a season out of this. Hold on. They're still going to make another season after all is said and done. After this... You know, after these movies come out, they're going to just reanimate it like a whole season and then release it like that. Right? That's what they did with Mugen Train. They did a whole season of just that arc. Not a whole season, my bad, but it's half a season of that was the arc, and then they went into the entertainment district. So, you know what I mean? Do we believe that they're going to do that again? I think so, because it's that kind of binge-worthy style might work, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But until then, this movie was great, and I want the rest. I want it so badly, but gonna have to wait 2 years. 2 years! But honestly, if they keep on cooking like this, fine, so be it. But damn, dude. 2 more years of having to wait is crazy, but something to live for, I guess. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.